Everyone, welcome to the channel. Ed DeBooth, physical therapist out of Integrated Physical Therapy in Bellingham, Washington. If you've been to the channel before, you know that I am huge into taking ownership of our own health. We need to be the CEO of our health. No matter how caring our doctors and our therapists and everyone else are, we ultimately are responsible for our own health, especially if you are 50 or older. Elizabeth and I are both 53. In fact, she'll be 54 coming up pretty soon, so she's a little older than me. One lesson that I've learned after turning 50 is that any self-care that I was doing, we have to turn it up that much more. What I tell my clients in the clinic and people online is that we have to be proactive as we get older and not just reactive. When we're younger, it's okay to be reactive. We go about our daily life until I have an injury. And then we're reactive. We go to therapy, we do whatever we need to do, and it gets better. And then we throw the sheet away of exercise and we go about living our life until something else happens. Well, you get over 50 and you can't afford to keep doing that. You don't just wake up one day with diabetes. You don't just wake up one day with osteoporosis or osteopenia. You don't just wake up one day with heart disease. This stuff is all brewing under the surface. So if you are 50 and older, you must be proactive in your health and not wait for things to happen to us. Elizabeth and I have started a whole nother website, livewell50.com, dedicated to people like us, and you if you're watching this over 50, dedicated to help us learn to age strong and age successfully. In this video, which is part of a whole complete sleep course that I did on Live Well 50, is about the chronic effects of sleep deprivation on our overall health. So without further ado, let's get to the video. If I've seen you in the clinic for a physical therapy session, at some point in time, I've probably asked you about how well you sleep at night. And oftentimes the answer is, nah, more often than not. And we talk a little bit about sleep and the importance of sleep, but then we kind of move on to other things. Well, no more in my practice, because we have to really dial in our sleep and maximize our sleep, because it's just critical for everything. The biggest thing we realize when we don't sleep well at night, we're like, I'm tired, but not a big deal. So I have a couple cups of coffee and hey, I feel fine, problem solved, right? Well, not really. The coffee and the caffeine will help you stay awake, and so you'll be alert, and so you'll think everything is fine. But there's a whole host of things that happen when we sleep that drinking that cup of coffee or having that caffeine will not substitute for. One of the things we call the Trinity of Health at Live Well 50, sleep, the food we eat, and exercise. Oftentimes, if we can get back down to the basics, what do we do if our computers or our phones are just acting weird? They're just not acting like they should. What's the first thing we do? We power down and we reboot. So same kind of thing. When I got a client that comes in, or maybe you're watching this and you're just like, you know what, especially of us over 50, where do we start with this? I'm just not even sure. I'm on a whole host of medications. I have joint pain. Maybe I'm a little overweight. I'm kind of stressed out. Where do I even start? So we talk about the Trinity of Health: sleep, exercise, and the food we eat. In this course, we're going to dive deep into sleep. So by the time you're done, hopefully you've got some strong strategies to help you sleep better at night. And then it'll affect everything that we do. I initially used to think that sleep, food, and exercise were all pretty equal pillars. But as I got into this course, I realized that sleep is a much bigger pillar than both exercise and nutrition. And I'll tell you why. If I don't eat right for a couple of days, maybe my stomach hurts, maybe I don't feel very good, but it's okay. If I don't exercise for a couple of days, maybe I don't feel as energetic, maybe I feel a little bit weaker, maybe just not mentally as sharp, but I'm generally okay. If I don't sleep for 2 days, or even if I sleep for like 2 or 3 hours for 2 days, anybody would be just wrecked. You're not going to be able to think properly, you have poor judgment, blood pressure is probably rising, increased sympathetic tone, your eating schedule is going to be all off. So definitely dial in your sleep the best you can, because sleep is even more important than exercise and the food we eat. If you find the video helpful, please consider giving it a thumbs up, subscribing, and turn on the notification so that you never miss another one of our videos. All right, back to the video. Now we're going to talk about the symptoms of poor sleep. And what I mean by poor sleep is kind of chronic sleep deprivation. I'm not talking about the 1 or 2 nights that we're traveling or we don't sleep well. We can quickly make that up. I'm talking about those individuals that are consistently getting 6 to 7 hours only of sleep, or sleep is very fragmented, which means they're waking up constantly. There are a whole host of things that happen to our body physiologically. The first and obvious symptom of not sleeping well at night is being sleepy and tired and groggy. And we all self-medicate with caffeine. You know, I've got a cup of tea or 2 in the morning as well too. And caffeine is a stimulant, of course, and it's the most widely used and abused stimulant in the world. So we have to be careful. We'll talk more about caffeine later on. Another symptom of not sleeping well is forgetfulness, poor memory, and difficulty learning new tasks. Although memory loss and difficulty learning new tasks are part of the natural aging process, for a lot of people that process is accelerated because they're not chronically getting the kind of sleep that they need to, and they're chronically sleep deprived. Many people don't realize that your immune system function is dependent upon good quality sleep as well too. So if I'm not sleeping well at night, my immune system is not functioning at an optimal level. So that might make me more prone to infections. Maybe I catch every bug or every cold that's going around. Now with COVID obviously rampant, not going anywhere anytime soon, having a strong, robust immune system is critical. Most people don't put that link together though. So if you're a person that's having chronic infections, could be bladder, sinus, you're like, what is going on here? Circle back, check to see, are you getting enough sleep? This next one we can all relate to, longer healing times from injury. Now, part of the aging process, once again, is taking a lot longer to heal from an injury than we did when we were 25. However, not sleeping well means that we're not getting the full dose of growth hormone and testosterone release. So it's going to take that injury that we're trying to recover from and push it out that much further. So sleeping well helps to increase testosterone, which is also for male and females in charge of libido, as well as growth hormone, which is basically for repair of our body. Another symptom of poor sleep is weight gain. We have the hunger hormone called ghrelin. And what happens in response to not sleeping well, once again, chronic sleep deprivation, we tend to increase this hormone called ghrelin. So we actually end up eating more when we don't sleep well at night. Once again, oftentimes that connection is not made. I've read studies where the average person who doesn't sleep well at night consumes about 300 more calories a day. And that will not take very much to start adding on pounds to the waist. So if you're trying to manage your weight, trying to lose weight, make sure that you get enough sleep, because that's all part of it. Obviously, a big push at Live Well 50 is exercise. And so if you are exercising, you're strengthening, you're doing the 5 pillars of fitness, but you're just having a hard time recovering, you just may need more sleep. You know, we've talked about protein intake, but in this video, we're going to talk specifically about sleep. So sleep is a huge part of recovery, because once again, circling back to growth hormone. So if you're working out hard and strength training, and maybe you're working in the yard, and maybe you're walking and running and biking, make sure that you get enough sleep so that you start the day with that battery as fully charged as you can. On a side note, if you are strength training hard and you are having trouble recovering, or you feel like you're always slow, a couple variables is to look at your protein intake, the amount of sleep that you're getting, and you may have to cut back on the intensity of your workout. If you have specific questions about that, definitely ask me and we'll get you squared away. In response to chronic sleep deprivation, our nervous system tends to shift to more of a sympathetic tone or fight or flight. To simplify the nervous system, we have a parasympathetic, which is our chillin', everything is good, and our sympathetic, which is fight or flight. So in the presence of chronic sleep deprivation, we tend to naturally shift towards sympathetic tone. Now, we were never designed as humans to be under constant sympathetic tone. Most of the time we're chillin', oh my gosh, there's a tiger, we're in sympathetic tone, we're either going to fight or flee. Either way, in 10 minutes, we're either away and safe or we're dead. So either way, the problem solved. So sympathetic tone was never designed to be chronic. However, in the presence of sleep deprivation, the body shifts to more sympathetic tone. And what that does is deleterious to the cardiovascular system. It increases blood pressure, and over a long period of time, increased chance of stroke, congestive heart failure, and coronary artery disease. So you definitely want to make sure you get enough sleep so that you give your nervous system a break so you're not constantly in sympathetic tone. This next one's a biggie: increased risk for Alzheimer's. Now, although we're still not 100% sure as the cause of Alzheimer's, one characteristic of many clients or many patients that have Alzheimer's is these black plaques in their brain, these protein plaques in the brain, that many people that don't have Alzheimer's don't have that. And so researchers are speculating that what is going on with this that's creating these plaques in the brain, and these plaques then interfere with the ability of the neurons to communicate, because that's how neurons communicate with one another. So when these plaques are there, they're not communicating, and wherever those plaques are going to affect that part of the brain. One of the functions of deep sleep is that we actually get this cleansing or this washing away of some of these protein buildup in the brain. Pretty miraculous, right? So therefore, if we're not sleeping well at night, we're not thoroughly scrubbing and washing that brain as well as we can, and now sleep deprivation or chronic sleep deprivation is now actually a risk factor for Alzheimer's. So definitely don't skimp on your sleep. We also have an increased risk of developing diabetes if we don't sleep well at night. And the reason is multifactorial, but remember, when we don't sleep well at night chronically, we shift to more sympathetic tone, which does our cardiovascular system no benefits. We also tend to eat more a little bit. One of the reasons is because we're tired, and so we want that sugar fix to kind of wake us up. Sometimes eating will do that. Plus the hunger hormone, ghrelin, is released at a greater level for those that are sleep deprived. All these things can kind of build up and cascade to this crescendo to where it's getting difficult to control our blood sugar levels. Then we start entering into that pre-diabetic and diabetic zone, and then we're looking at medication or really dramatic lifestyle changes. So sleep, diabetes, closely linked. And the last one we talk about here, and this one kind of surprised me as well too, is there's actually an increased chance of cancer for people who don't sleep well at night. Unfortunately, in our modern society, we have many people that do shift work. However, our body was never designed to basically be working 24/7. When the sun's down and it's dark, our natural biological rhythm, which we'll talk more about, is to sleep. But if we have to work and shift work, and I understand it's critical, however, there is a physiological toll on the body. And the World Health Organization actually lists shift work as a possible carcinogen. And the reason they're thinking that is because when we go against the natural rhythms of our body, or we're not sleeping well at night, oftentimes what happens is there's an increase in inflammation. And as there's an increase in inflammation, there's also an increased probability of developing cancer, because some of that inflammation is a precursor to many cancers. The bottom line with all these symptoms is the shorter your sleep, the shorter your life. In the next lesson, we're going to talk about key factors that have fundamentally changed the way we sleep. All right, hope you enjoyed the free preview. And like I said, if you are truly interested in taking your aging to the next level and being proactive and not reactive, please check out livewell50.com. We can connect. We have live Q&A sessions. It's basically this YouTube channel, but the next level, dedicated to those like us over 50. All right, if you have any questions, please let me know, and thank you again for watching.